Happy hump day. What's going on? We're live. It's Wednesday, December 17th. Christmas is coming up. Hope you guys are ready for that. I'm not. I haven't done any Christmas shopping at all. Actually, a little bit online, so I think I'm good. But yeah, today's live stream, I'm going to be handling some client revisions. And I thought that would be a really cool thing to just stream because, I want to talk about my philosophy on client revisions and help you guys out that are starting to work with clients, build a business. Maybe you're producers, you're mixing engineer yourself, you're mastering engineers, you're, songwriters, you're somebody providing a service, maybe you're a composer or somebody, doing some sync licensing stuff. And sorry about my video. It's like popping in and out every once in a while. Got some weird shit going on, but we're going to roll with it. All right, so I'm in Logic Pro, and I'm going to show you a couple platforms and different things that I use with clients, and hopefully it's valuable for you guys. Honestly, this channel is all about just making sure you guys get some value. Whether you're trying to build your own music business as an artist, a producer, a songwriter, a composer, right? I've done a bunch of that. Or a engineer, recording, mixing, mastering engineer. I've done all that stuff and done it for a living. So let's dive in here. So here's Logic Pro. This is the client session. I can break down stuff. I can, answer any questions you guys might have about any of the mix or anything like that. Routing, plugins, whatever. You guys just feel free to drop any sort of questions within the chat here, okay? And I'll do my best to answer everything for you guys. Who's here though? Say what's up if you are here. Notifications on. That's a smart guy right there. You're starting to get it, huh? So yeah, also I'd love to know, out of the people that are here, there's like 7 people right now, which is, I'm sure it'll grow. Out of the 10 people that are here right now, how many of you are working as, here, maybe I can do a poll or something. I don't know. I think I can do that on the YouTube. Let's do a little poll here because I want to know who I'm talking to. I don't want to just like be talking about stuff that you guys don't care about, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I don't want you guys to be like, dude, I don't know, this is irrelevant to me. You know what I'm saying? So let's do a little poll on here. Maybe I can do a poll or something. I'll turn that down and let's do a poll. So basically what I want to know is, let's do a poll here. How many of you are audio engineers? Okay, so audio engineers looking for more work, client work. Okay, I'm going to start that poll. So let's see. Let's see who here is an audio engineer that is looking for more work. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. Maybe we have a little poll here that after that, we'll do one on producers. And just let me know in the chat, okay? Because what I want to know is, who am I talking to? Who is really wanting to know what? You know what I'm saying? And then I can really dial in on what to kind of show you guys during these live streams and help you guys out. Because I don't want to just talk about stuff, It's kind of waste of my time, waste of your time. What's up? What's up, baby person? Poo-poo in my diaper. Oh, nice, dude. Real good. Real good. Braxel, what's up? How are you? I am in Hollywood. I'm by the Hollywood Bowl. So just Hollywood Hills here, like by off of, if you're going towards the reservoir, Hollywood Reservoir. Why would we not care? That's what's up. That's what's up. I like that. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out what you guys want to learn more about. Okay, so if it's like plugins, mixing, mastering, cool. If it's how to get clients and make more money in music, cool. If it's songwriting, production, like what are you guys trying to learn more about? Okay, so I got 50% yes on this poll here. I'm just gonna show that. Yeah, you guys can see it. Sorry, this is like getting convoluted because I have like a screen within a screen. All right. Okay, so 50% yes. So that's good. Nice. Long Beach is pretty far from me. Orange County, nice. Orange County, Long Beach, kind of same to me. Same. All right, so we got, that's cool. That's cool. I'm going to start another poll here. Okay, so okay, 56% yes. Okay, so any producers in the house? Composers. What are you guys looking for? What are you looking to learn? That's what I want to know. Okay. So let's talk about revision rounds, because this is where we keep our clients. This is where we keep clients coming back. Okay. Very, very important. First of all, you got to master the art of the service that you're providing. If you're providing a not so great service right now, then you need to work on that. You need to work on your skill set in songwriting, production, mixing and mastering, whatever it is that you're trying to provide to the marketplace. Get really good at the tools, get really good at the art, and have your own sound. That's really key. Don't sound like everybody else. Don't make a mix that sounds like everybody else could make, just a decent mix that AI could shit out. That's not really what you're looking for. You want a stylistic opinion with a mix. Same thing with production, composition. You're not going to get hired as a composer or do any sync licensing or, get big production work if all your productions just sound like, type beats and the same thing as everybody else out there. Okay. I'm just going to say that right now because we're going to go into 2026. Okay. It's very, very important that you guys understand that. All right. So songwriting, production, sick. Yeah. You guys keep dropping your shit. Tell me about you. I don't want to talk about me all the time. Okay. I'm not that interested in myself. Songwriting, production. I want to learn, what do we got? I want to learn how you get all the depth in your mixes. Great. Yeah. And I've done a lot of live streams. I would highly recommend you go back on the live streams that I've been doing, because I've been talking about that a lot in the last mix that I did. Okay. And I just finished that one and shipped it to the client. So maybe I'll open that one up during this live and we can break down some of that depth stuff. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Okay. I'm on my account now. I'm such a boomer. It's all good. My parents are boomers, It's all good. I get it. Okay. +1, Braxel. Gotcha. Bam. Okay. Depth. All right, cool. Hey, love all your content. Sick. Appreciate that. I really do. I'm looking for a specific answer on something. When you hear a vocal and it has this perfect thickness, almost round feeling, what is your take on that? Great question. We'll dive into some of that in these mixes and stuff. Okay. Great question. Love that. And let me just, what do you got? Do you do mix critiques? Really interesting that you asked that. So I was thinking about, and maybe this is a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea, I don't know. But I was thinking about starting a mix club, okay? Where I would have people join a club where I do mix critiques. I would do, once a week, I would grab someone from the club. They would send me their session. I would break it down. I would fix something, and I would show them what they're doing wrong or whatever. And then obviously it would be a paid thing. I can't do that for everyone. It'd be fucking insane, right? Yeah, dude, just do free mix critiques all day, I wouldn't get any work done. So I was thinking about doing a mix club. If you're interested in that, let me know. Okay. Theory while mastering. Yeah. So I talked a lot about that last live stream, which hopefully is going to be very helpful for you. In this live stream, these are great questions though, you guys. I'm going to keep them all in mind, and thank you. Thank you for asking them, and keep them up. Always come to these live streams with good questions. It's very important. Yeah, it's I would make a mix club where I would give you guys different templates that I'm using. I would talk to plugin vendors about giving discounted plugins, things I use all the time, not just random shit. And then I would put stuff together for you guys channel strips, presets. I would, do live streams only for the mix club, answer questions directly in a small group. I think something like that would be cool. Just because I can be much more one-on-one and get way better results for people, especially, producers out there or artists out there that are really trying to get their mixes up. Maybe they're not trying to mix and master themselves, but they're trying to get them to a point where they can really pitch them out and they can, feel good about it, and also learn sound design and all that stuff. All right. What do you got here? Great to see you. Yeah. It's good to see you too. So let's get into client revisions. So there's a couple things I do here. So let's go to the Finder, and I'm just going to show you kind of how I label my stuff. First of all, anything that I'm working on directly right now is in this folder. Okay. Everything else is offloaded to off of different drives. Okay. It's backup drive that I'm not working off of. This is actually the drive on my computer because it's the fastest. So I want to work off the native drive. It used to be where you would want to work your sessions off of an external drive because the hard drive within your computer was not fast enough and it, had conflicts because it was running your OS and all that shit. Nowadays, that's not the problem. I have a M4 Max, MacBook Pro, and it is the fastest drive that you could possibly get within it, right? So it works great for putting your mixes and all your samples and everything directly on it. So that's kind of how I mix. I have all my sessions here that I'm working on specifically. For Tommy G, for example, I have 15 songs to work on for his album. But right now I have 2 songs in the queue and am working on revisions for this one called Somewhere. So within this folder, I always like folders for Logic Pro. I will open this up and I will make a new folder called Z Old. And I will take the old versions, version 1, you could see, and then version 2. So version 1 is always going to be version 1 with the date that I made any sort of revisions internally. The minute that I ship that to the client and then they have a revision note, I go to version 2. So now we're going to be on version 3, okay? So I'm going to go take these to the Z Old, and we're in this session right now, okay? Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to go, boop, and we're going to go to V3, and we're going to go to today's date. We're just going to switch this. And I know this is boring stuff, but this is very important when you're working on client work. I promise you, you will want to be organized. All right, so now we have a V3. Now that V2 will go into the Z Old. But V3, we're working on, this is when we're going to start making the revisions. We don't want to touch anything until we go to our app. And the app I like to use, I was using this app called High Note, and I really don't like High Note. No offense to them, but it just keeps getting worse and worse. Like, it was pretty good when I first started using it, but now it's just like declining over time. So I'm kind of bummed out about it. But now I'm using Samply. Okay, so all my clients are within here that I'm working on right now. So if I go to Tommy G, okay, I'm going to go to the 2 mixes and my 2 masters, right, that I've sent to him. And you can see that I have my different versions here. And you could see V3, right? So Gone has been approved on V3, but Somewhere we're on V2. So we can break out the stack and we can go to V2 and we just double click on it. Or you can go to comment here and you could see his revision notes directly on the timeline. And this is how I work with my clients because it's so helpful for them to be able to play it and hear it and put their comments right on the timeline. Let's do this, let's do that, etc. Okay. So now I'll start to address the actual revisions. So for this says, for this deep pitch vocal, can we turn it up in volume slightly? I want it to bite like the second one at 152 does. Okay. So we'll just go to 37. Boop. Right. And we're going to have our time code up here. Usually on this, I have it on custom and I have my own custom kind of settings up here. So I have a key command for that and it's all set up. And then what we'll do is we'll go to 37 here, and we'll go to the pitch down vocal. This is a pretty simple basic session. So it's not crazy, what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to go through, 180 tracks. This is like, okay, I could see all the vocals in pink and I know where the pitch down vocal is, right? So what we want to do is we want to hear what he's talking about, comparing it to the one at 152. So this is 152, and then this is the one that he wants brought up a little bit. So let's listen. And when a client asks for a revision note, like turn it up, I want to be really specific with you guys as mix engineers. It's not just turn it up in volume. Okay. Sometimes it's needs to be EQ'd the same way as that one, or it needs to cut through the mix better, et cetera, et cetera. It needs to be have less compression on it. There's so many other things besides like what a client might say, like, can you turn it up in volume slightly? We have to read into that and be the liaison between the technology and skill set of what we're doing and what the artist is just saying, like, yo, this needs to be louder. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different thing. And this might just be turning it up, but we'll find out. Okay. So let's hear it.
Felon, can you help me out the void? Couple glasses ground beneath the shift and then I ship on overload. Don't gotta sell me.
Okay, so right away, to me, as a mixing engineer, I hear this and I go, nah, bro, it's not that it needs to be turned up. It's that this one sounds more murky, okay? Like Out the Void. Out the Void is, it cuts better. Like, let's just listen again. He likes this one that I'm going to play right now, and then I'm going to go back to the one he wants turned up in volume.
Help me out the void. Couple glasses in a ship on overload. Don't
See what I'm saying? So overload. It's like overload. Out the void, you know? So as you can see, even in the waveform, see how small this one is and see how big this one is? So this one's already louder. So what we want to do is we can either automate on the same channel, but because we only have 47 tracks, which I don't even think it's 47 tracks, we can just duplicate this track, and I'm going to drag this down, okay? And hold down Shift before you click and drag, and it'll keep it locked in the lane. That's a little logic tip for you. And then we're going to come around here, and we're just going to go into the EQ here. If there is an EQ, there's not an EQ on this. So right after the Pro DS, we'll put a doubler 2. Right after the Pro DS and before the doubler 2, we're going to just put any EQ. It doesn't matter. But Pro Q4 might work nicely for this. And we're just going to bring up a little bit of clarity.
ground beneath the shifting in a ship on overload. Ground beneath the shifting in a ship on overload. Don't gotta sell me. Shifting in a ship on overload. Ship on overload. Don't gotta sell me. Ship on overload. Don't gotta.
All right, so you see how we are turning it up, right? Because we're using equalization, and equalization is turning it up. But we're only turning up the frequencies that we need to turn up. If I just turn this up in volume, it's still going to sound murky. It's still not going to cut like the other one. Another thing that I hear in the other one is that it almost has like a little bit more texture and distortion to it. Okay, so just listening to this.
Felon, can you help me out the void? Couple glass.
Right, it has this like throaty kind of thing. Out that void, you know, it's kind of distorted. So what we can do on this one is we can turn on the little altar boy, right? And not pitch on the altar boy or anything, right? Just drive it a little bit.
Load. Don't gotta sell me.
Now see how that just like helps it cut? Like, so just bypassing the two things that we've added, let's listen to before and after. Okay, so here's before.
Load. Don't got.
Right? And that might be even just a little, like a pinch too loud, right? So now we can just kind of take this down on the large fader, just a touch, you know? And now we have this idea that he's putting into his notes. For the deep pitch vocal, can we turn it up in volume slightly? I want it to bite like that second one at 152 does, fire emoji, right? So bite to me means grime, grit, bite. It means mid-range, top spitty stuff. It means a little distortion, okay? It doesn't mean take this, turn up the volume, and then send it to your client and go, I did the revisions. You know, that's lazy fucking engineering. And that just shows that you don't know what you're doing. And I don't want to do that for my clients. I want to make sure that when they say something, I read into it and I know what they're asking for. Now, if I do a revision, I hit Command S. I save it, okay? We're already at V3. It's saved. Now, if Logic crashes or whatever, I can recover exactly what I've already done. Okay, and then I'll go back to this and I can go mark as complete. And then I can go liking the simple delay, go to the next one, right? Just click on it here on the timeline. Liking the simple delay, can we turn the delay down in volume a bit, please? So this one is pretty obvious. Like he's not saying, can we get the delay to bite less or, you know, be a little less murky or whatever. He's just saying, turn it down in volume, which is very, very basic, right? So we got some basic notes, which is great. That means that I probably made the mix exactly how he liked it. So here is, this is going to be at 102. So let's go to, we're just 102 right here, right? And we could just literally go to the end of the phrase here where I had the delay throw. And then the delay throw, I believe, is here. No, it's here. No. We're going to find it, I promise. This is on the Vox mix. So this is the Vocal Studio, and I think I just turned on the delay. I like automated it on and off. So on this might be a little bit more tricky because you're turning on the delay on a plugin that's inserted. So on this, we'll have to turn down the delay here, okay? So we'll just go to the delay and turn it down. But let's hear it. Let's hear what he's talking about.
All of a sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere, somewhere.
All right, so just turn that down a little bit. And that's pretty simple in this. Like, we don't have to go crazy with this, but I like to play it over and over again and make sure that I'm getting that note right. So let's get to the part.
Go, go, somewhere, go, go. Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere. Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere. Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere. Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere, somewhere.
All right, now another thing with delays, I want to make this clear as well. When you're reading that note and you say, turn the delay down, doesn't always just mean turn the delay down. Sometimes that means take the frequency range and make it more of a delay in the background, right? So you have to kind of read into everything. So for example, on this, I might high pass this even more.
Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere. Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere. Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere, somewhere. I know.
Right, and that'll make it sound more in the background, okay? And you might even like add more reverb on that part or something. So for example, on this, I might turn the reverb up a little bit so that the delay goes back into the background. All right, so just to test that idea, not to automate it yet, but to test it, we're gonna mess around with this reverb.
Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere. Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere.
All right, so you got to be careful because you have the where'd you go, and then you have the delay hitting later, right? So on this chamber, what we can do is we can take it from here, and we can take it from here, and right click on it, and then you can do MIDI learn if you want, but I'm actually just going to do this in real time. So what we'll do is we'll go here and we'll go to latch, and when we latch it, we're going to turn the reverb up as that delay hits.
Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere, somewhere. I know you're out.
Right, so now you have the latch going, and because this is on the vocal mix, it's kind of I probably should have done touch. So if I touch it and then let go of it, it goes back to where it was supposed to be, right? But I'm just going to go back to read, and I'm just going to dial this in because I forget that this is on the actual vocal mix. So you got to be careful with that because that's going to have vocals coming back in on the chorus here, right here on somewhere, right here. All right, so let's go here and make sure we bring our automation back down to 40% or so, right? Doesn't need to be perfect, but should be pretty close. And we can just double click all these, or you can delete them. It's up to you. I'm just doing it the slow, dumb way. And there you go.
Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere, somewhere. I know you're out there.
All right, cool. So now that note is addressed, right? We took down the delay. We turned it down in volume. This is what I love about client notes. They're like, yeah, just turn that down. It's like, yeah, okay. It's not how mixing works, you know, because everything's feeding a process. Like this goes into a compressor that has a tone already. If I turn that down and it goes to the compressor's compressing less, and then the tone goes away, and then I turn that down, and then the artist says, why the vocals sound different? You know what I mean? So you have to really know what you're doing with mixing. It's not just a turn up, turn down kind of thing. I wish it was, but it's really not. So we'll go boom, that's done. Can you turn up the vocal ooze a little? Okay, I'm looking to fill out the high end on the hook a little more to create an uplifting feeling. I think there's some strings in there that could be brought up a little more to help too. Okay, so good note. So let's go to the chorus.
Sudden, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Somewhere, somewhere. I know you're out there. I know you're out there.
All right, so here's the ooze. All right. My dad turned that shit down. Exactly. Love that. Okay, what you got here? You use transient shaper on vocals in your mixes. No. I don't think I've ever put a transient shaper on a vocal. Yeah, you have to think past volume, because the way that we perceive sound is totally different than just you know, turn it up, turn it down. It's too loud. It's too quiet. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's not the game. It's just really not. And that's why a lot of people fail at mixing, because it's like they start to get into mixing. They start charging clients. Oh, dude, I'll do it for $150, bro. They got all these cracked plugins. They go in there. The artist starts having revisions. They're like, yeah, bro, this is all right. Can we do this, and this? And then they go through like 9 revision rounds with an engineer that doesn't really know what engineering is or how it even works. And they start turning up and taking notes literally. And then the artist is like, dude, this is terrible. Like, my mix sounds like shit. And I paid you $150 and it took a really long time. And the revision rounds went 9 rounds and you still didn't get what I want. You know what they say? The poor man pays twice. But anyway, let's get back to this. So the ooze. Let's go to the ooze. And this is easy because the ooze are only on the chorus and he wants them uplifting, okay? So very simple here. We're not going to turn them up. We're going to make them brighter, okay? So one thing I like to do for brightness is not just add it to the EQ, right? That would be a really simple way of making something bright, but it's not going to make it feel more uplifting, okay? What I probably want to do on these ooze is add a well, add like a harmonic or the Slate Vitalizer, I think it's called. No, that's the SPL one. But there's a Slate one that I really like, and it's very subtle, and it works great, and it's actually a free plugin. Where is it? You guys should definitely go grab this one. I think it's in the mix. God, there's so many fucking plugins now from them, huh? Yeah, I want to just go to the mix rack. Here we go. So virtual mix rack, open that bitch up. And then we're going to go to, I hate that it opens up like this, by the way. Like, they should fucking stop doing this. Like, just have the default be, actually, let's just do that. Let's set this as the default, all right? Can we do that? Can we do it? Can we do it? No, I don't know how to do it. I don't understand. Why can't we just go here and go to like, this is the default. No, okay, whatever. Revival. This is what we want. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up this shimmer. And this is just really, really good. I really like this plugin. Like, so good. Like, just that little air, you know, that's all it's doing. And it sounds really good. You can also use different air plugins or whatever, but this one's free, and I think it does the trick. And it's also really subtle, right? Like, sometimes the subtleness of something and the harmonics of something can just make things feel a little bit more spiritual. I guess that's the best way to put it. I don't know. But let's crank this. Let's really crank it so you can really hear it. All right, so good. So it just gives that breath in that top, and because they're ooze, that's going to be way better than just throwing an EQ on it, you know? It's like, ooh. If it was like him going, ah, then it'd be really hard to just use this plugin if he was doing breathy stuff, because then it would sound too breathy and then it starts sounding like noise, right? But because he's going, ooh, we can get that, you know, which is really, really dope. And that's all I would do. I might bring them up a little bit in volume, but just a touch, you know, like I'll go boop. And then I might even pan them out a little bit further just to make them a little bit more, a little bigger, I guess, if that makes sense. You know, just go bigger with them. And another thing that I want to point out is when you have reverbs, right? Like, for example, you have the temperance and I have the spaced out here. When you have reverbs and they're returning back to your all vocals bus, they're also a really good source of EQ. So for example, let's bypass the sends here, and you'll hear how much the reverb return is actually being an EQ and being used as an EQ. So you can use that for depth and presence in the EQ. So for example, instead of just adding EQ as an insert, you can also go to your reverb return, right, on this Temperance plugin, which is incredible, by the way. You guys should all pick this up. It's for free right now. If you don't get this right now, then you won't have, like, I think they stopped giving this away for free by the 31st. And I made a video on this that I'm going to drop, I think, tomorrow. So pretty excited about that. But yeah, so here you can see how this says synthetic space. You could take this to like a bright room, or what I would prefer to do after the Temperance light, or even just like, let's listen to it first before we do anything, right? Like, how bright is this reverb? Yeah, so it's not very bright. That's actually a pretty dark reverb. It's adding really good depth though. I really like what it's doing with the dimension. But instead, I might use this spaced out on this one. And I think all the vocals are going to this spaced out. Yeah, and this is an incredible reverb as well. So good. Like the pumping effect of it with the ducking. I just love that. I think it sounds so cool. But on this, we can open this up and we can make it. So see how the high is like cutting out at like 66? It's a pretty dark reverb. So if we open it up and we bring up like to 12K, 14K even, listen to what happens. Right, now we get a little bit of that splash in the back. So that's really cool and a great way to EQ your reverb returns, EQ the vocals overall. Just use reverbs, because reverbs will add a lot of EQ. Okay, so now these oohs in the mix are going to be hopefully a little brighter, and then we'll go to the strings.
Somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get more high end out of the strings as well. So I think these, is this it? The hook synth here?
Out there, I know you're out there.
No, it's probably the track labeled strings. All right, so same thing on strings. I have the Dimensions plugin, which this is awesome. Like, listen to the difference here. I'm going to just pop this in and out. No, it's so subtle. It's so subtle that you can't really hear much going on, but yeah, I don't know why. I just like the dimension that it's giving it. So now I'm going to pop on, same thing. I'm going to go to the, we're going to go to like a harmonic plugin, right? And maybe another one that everybody loves, right, is the Slate Digital Air one, right? So let's go to this one, Fresh Air. And Fresh Air could add, like, you can mess around with these two bands, but you know, this does a lot. A little bit goes a long way with this one. Okay, so what I want to be careful of and mindful of is this high. When I add this high sparkle, it's like just adding noise, really. It's like, that's all it is. So I don't really want to do that. The mid air is great. And then I want to try this before the Dimensions plugin. And we'll try to get a little bit more of this Dimension plugin in there as well, because this has some cool stuff in it, like shimmer and everything, which could help with that brightness. And again, I don't typically solo out this kind of stuff, just so you guys know. I'm just doing this so you guys can hear this on the live stream, exactly what's happening and what I'm hearing, okay? So let's bring this up wet and dry.
out there somewhere, somewhere. I know you're out.
Now let's bring the strings, because I feel like they could use more like blooming, like they can bloom into a bright reverb, into a bright space maybe, you know, to, like he's saying, like make it more uplifting. So when we want it to be more uplifting, we want more like energy going up, okay? So it's not just EQ, because if you just EQ or just volume, you're just bringing it up in volume. You're not bringing the sound up. Like, how do I explain this? So high frequencies always sound like they're higher in the field, right? Like if you're listening on speakers, you're going to hear high frequencies go up because that's where the tweeter is usually, right? So we're going to go up and it's going to feel like it's higher up in the air. Okay. So that's kind of what I want to do with these strings, not just with EQ, but we want to go like high and back and like fill out and like bloom the space so that it feels more uplifting, right? Like if you heard a choir come on this, you know, like, ooh, you know, and there was like a bunch of choir, like you would hear the stacked choir and you'd hear those high notes and those high vocals up top of the choir, you know, it just feels that way. And you'd feel them deeper as well because the high frequencies can be really directional. So we want to be careful not to just like turn it up and make it high end so that it's like right here. We want it to like feel more open, right? I guess that's a good term for it, more open. So now let's just send this, or actually, because we're just, you know, there are not many tracks in this session, we'll just go to like a sparkly kind of reverb, which we can start with the Valhalla stuff, like the shimmer, or if I want to get really kind of just fancy and more natural and organic, I'll go with like the Audio Ease, the Altiverb. And the Altiverb is, you know, with the dimensions. Like I'm not worried about, you know, these like competing with each other. I want to feed that into this. And here, let's solo the strings first of all, and let's find a brighter room. Okay, so a lot of these big rooms will be pretty dark. So we have to find a good bright room that's going to feel, I don't know, like concert hall could work, but maybe a scoring stage would be better. So let's try like, let's try flipping through some of these. Yeah, the Paramount stage sounds really great. It's kind of singing in that area. We could try the Fox one as well. So Paramount obviously is a little bit brighter, and it's focusing more of that energy in the high mids, and then the Fox kind of brings in a little bit more of the mid range of that string, and that brings in a little bit more depth. So let's go to the parameters here and let's blend it back. Okay, so first of all, you have a brightness knob as well here, but let's blend it back to start. Okay, so here's our dry wet mix because it's inserted. And now let's pop it into the mix.
Somewhere, I know you're out there. I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere. I know you're out there. I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere. I know you're out there. I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere. I know you're out there. I know you're out there. Okay, when you...
Okay, great. Now we're just bringing up the brightness a little bit on the Fox stage because I like the depth that the Fox stage gives me in the mids. So now we have that, and if we want, we can bring the strings up just a touch. And what I would do is I'd start at this gain stage, and I just bring these up like a dB. not much, we want to be careful not to completely overdo it. But here's none of the plugins on the strings, and then we'll pop them in.
Somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there.
Great. Now, I don't think that necessarily is going to make the chorus feel a lot more hopeful or whatever. But, just like listening to that now, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what he wants in his notes. So I'm going to let him decide on that. It's like, just bring him up a little bit, uplifting feeling. Great. Okay. I think we nailed that. Right. So that's what I'm going to do. And if he wants to go further into that, we can go further into that idea. I might recommend finding the things that feel hopeful, like the piano, right? Like just going through these instruments, I just want to find something that gives that hopeful feeling. Right, so I feel like this has the most hopeful sound to it, the Plux synth here. Blah, 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 blah. Like it feels the most hopeful. Everything else kind of feels like confused or thought-provoking or floaty, right? Like it's floating and not indecisive sort of thing. But when you play this, it kind of feels like, yeah, it feels nice, Right, so I already had that idea to brighten that up a little bit. So let's just knock it up half a dB more, He didn't say that in the notes, but he wants it to feel more hopeful, and I feel like that's what feels hopeful and sounds hopeful to me.
Somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Okay, when you went away, all the turned to gray.
All right, so there you go. So now, if you guys have any questions at all about this, I'll flip back and forth to the demo, So here's the demo mix from him, kind of as far as he wanted to take it or could take it, I guess. Let's just kind of play back and forth.
Somewhere, and I know you disappeared, but I need you over here. Wipe away the tears, cause I'm so good when you're near. Don't let your feelings interfere. I'm healing this sincere when I say you lift my spirit. I really dig you, you know you make me whole. Gonna really miss you, take my coat when it is cold. Turn you on when I go kiss you, and I'm wishing you were home. You're the ground beneath the shift, and then I ship on overload. Don't gotta sell me cause I'm sold. I would pay $1 million for a moment just to hold. Running the whole distance and wearing out my soul. Yeah, hey, I really get it, you just gotta lose control sometimes. And I'm fighting for you on the front lines. Yeah, you told me that love was undying. All of a sudden, where'd you go? Somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Okay, when you went away, all the...
Yeah, so with a mix like this, we're just opening it up. One thing I want you guys to really pay attention to is the transients, the life of the record. The demo lacks the life. It feels so mono. It feels so boring, flat, two-dimensional. It feels uninspired. It feels like someone just kind of threw it out into the wind, if that makes sense. And I feel like we brought life back into the record. I think that's kind of what I always shoot for. You know, even if it's like, oh, I don't want to make it too boomy and, you know, I don't want the drums to hit too hard, which I did. The first version I sent him, I think the drums hit too hard, and then I kind of rounded them back out. But, you know, the demo just like, it just lacks life. There's no life to it.
Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know.
You know, and it's not just, I think a lot of people, like if I showed this on a short form clip, people would just be like,
yeah, the other one just sounds brighter. Huh. Just sounds like you added an EQ saturation to it.
Not at all. Not fucking at all. Right? The drums are completely different. There's transients. There's actual like rim. There's a rim now. The kick actually has a transient to it. It's not just going boom, 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 boom. You know, now it's actually like punching and it's giving life. Like that's the key to making a record kind of open up, I think, is getting the transients right. The transients are everything. And then once you do that, then you can like build the space and the dimension around it and everything else. The front to back happens because you have the transients. Like there's no front to back on this. This is just, everything sounds like it's flat. You know, like listen to the ooze on the demo.
Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there.
Listen to the lead. The lead sounds like somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there. Like it's like everything is up front. Nothing feels dimension. It doesn't feel like space. It doesn't feel like a world. It feels flat, right? And then when we get the mix going, and look, like there's so much shit going on. It's not, they're all little subtle things, right? There's EQ, there's orange clip, there's Orion on the drum bus, there's Pultex, there's another orange clip, there's Pro Q4 on a side stick. This is literally another sample that I layered in, you know, with R-Comp and Magma, and then the kick punch layer, which is another sample that I layered in on the kick with some parallel compression and API 2500 with a bass. You know, the bass has compression. We got the 511 EQ. We got Magma Stress. We got the Pro Q4. Like there's so many subtle things and movement and texturing going on. The sub bass has harmonics and the filter and the L1 and the Pro Q4. These are all things I've done on top of what he already gave me from his stems, you know? The piano, didn't touch it. You got to know what not to touch, man. It's very, very important. Electric piano, little bit of spatial stuff with the DMX, you know? Like there's just subtle. It's very subtle. It's like chorusing effect, right? And then we get to the vocals. The vocals have Vocal Rider, Metatune, light Metatune, by the way. 1176, Pro DS, right? And then that's sending to Temperance, you know? And then there's different effects for each of the vocals, right? So this is sending to Vocal Studio on the vocal mix bus. And then we have another Temperance here doing different temperance, right? Like this is actually bringing the notes out. The other Temperance is bringing the notes, it's getting rid of those notes. So it's trying to not have so much note. And then this is also sending to the Stellar Echo, right? So there's a lot of depth and dimension happening through little bites and little things on each little part. And this takes time, and it takes skills and effort and listening and paying attention. The ooze, right? Metatune, Pro Q4, very simple. And then the revival we just added. And then that's sending to a temperance and then also a spaced out. So different reverb here, right? To give more dimension to those and into the back. Right? So there's just like a lot of different processes going on. And it's not a lot. I'm not like going crazy with one plugin. I'm just doing a little bit on each. And this bridge chorus, like listen to this on the hook synth. just make everything wavy. We make it feel like how the record should feel rather than this just like flat demo-y thing that sounds like someone just made in their bedroom.
Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there, I know you're out there. Oh, okay, when you went away, all the colors turned to gray. Yeah, I wish you would've stayed. No one make me feel the same, and it's driving me insane. Searching for the words, but I don't know what I'm saying. Didn't have a choice. Oh boy, I miss your voice. So angelic when you tell it. I'm enveloped by the noise. You're hopping on a hoy, so addicted to your poise. Tripped and failing, can you help me out the void?
You know, one note he had for me was he wants his vocals to sound really natural, you know, not driven, not spicy, you know what I'm saying? Like just like very natural and organic sounding, but still like a record, you know? And I think we nailed that kind of rounded vocal sound that doesn't sound really top heavy. It doesn't sound over compressed. There was this really shitty fad going on in hip hop that was happening like, I want to say like 5-6 years ago, where everything, make my vocal crispy. Right? There's a reason why hip hop's not on the charts anymore, you know, because everybody started sounding exactly the same. There was no innovation. There was nothing going on that said like, this is going somewhere. This art form of hip hop and rap is going to expand and keep going and moving, right? It just became, no, make it sound exactly like that. Every mix I would get, it was like a trap artist going, make it crispier, make my vocal crispy, you know, and they just fucking max out like, it was just so destroyed. And I think it's because all these rappers got used to these mixing engineers, quote unquote, that weren't mixing engineers. They were just overdoing plugins and going fucking crazy with stuff. And everything started to sound really, really very much the same. Right? So now we're going back to, which is really funny, we're going back to this Mac Miller kind of idea where it's like everything's organic again and we want this like indie vibe to stuff, you know? And we want these warm tones and we want these rounded vocals and it's okay that it's not completely fucking maxed out on the master bus where it's just completely destroyed, you know? And the vocals aren't completely swept out and crispy with a bunch of saturation on them. You know, like I'm glad that we're going back to musicality. It's very important for all genres, by the way. I'm not just going to, you know, talk about hip hop. This is a hip hop record. It's like an indie hip hop, I guess. I wouldn't say it's like rap or trap, you know, but yeah, it's like, you know, everybody wanted the same fucking sound. And then it's like when everything's homogenized, nobody likes it anymore because that's all they hear everywhere. They're like, oh, I've heard this. I think I've heard this song before. Sounds the same as that song and that song and that song and that song and that Migos song and that Migos song and that fucking Drake song, you know? So yeah, I think people just get really, really tired of it. And that's really what happened so far. And now I think rappers and anybody in hip hop, I mean, any artist in any genre needs to be able to innovate and do their own thing and find their own sound. You know, I think that's always been the thing. But, you know, everyone wanted to copy because they were trying to make a quick buck. Man, if I copy this, then people will listen to it and it'll get playlisted. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck all that. Fuck getting playlisted. Like, that doesn't do shit for you. All right, so let me bounce this real quick. This is the next step I would take is I would just bounce this. I feel like it's in a good spot. I've handled all of his notes, right? So now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to hit Option B. Now, a big thing before I bounce, I want to make sure that all of my master bus processing, because sometimes when I'm mixing, I'll turn off like oversampling and shit. So I just want to make sure that that stuff's up pretty high, especially on something like this. I just want to make sure that there's not additional distortion. Okay. So this is at 8 times on the God particle. So we're good there. And then gold clip, we can go here and go to oversampling, and that's on high. And then offline, it's pristine. So that's what I already bounced it on, but I'm going to go extra pristine at 16, right? Just to give it a little extra safety net, if you will. And then Pro Q4, we have this on linear phase high, so we're good there. And that's how I like it. I like the linear phase on high. I don't need to go extreme with that one. And then that's it. Those are all the plugins that we can really like, you know, oversample on. So we're going to go Option B, bounce this out, 48K somewhere, and then I'll highlight the whole thing. I'll click on the name here so that I have the same exact nomenclature. So there's no confusion, right? And I'll let this bounce offline. And I've tried this a lot. online as well, like rerouting it into Logic and bouncing, not offline. The offline bounce has gotten so good that I can't tell the difference between doing an offline bounce and printing it back into Logic. And a lot of the times I prefer just the offline bounce, just so you guys are aware, because I get that question sometimes. It's like, oh, do you hear a difference between offline bounce and just like playing it normal bounce or bouncing it and printing it back into Logic? I think this sounds really good. Like they've got the algorithm down. Thank God. Like they've been making Logic for so long. So you guys have any questions? What do you got here? Bradley, do you use that tiny button on the middle button on Gold Clip? Not typically. So what that does is typically gives me too much distortion. That's why I don't use it. And I'll go into that after this bounce is finished. But yeah, that's like it tends to add more distortion typically when you turn that on. It can be cool for some things, but I like to keep it off usually. Man, I try to just like tell you guys how I really feel about stuff. I'm not trying to impress anyone here. I'm just going through, this is what I do. This is my workflow. And it's fun to do these lives because I get to like think out loud. What else you got? Yeah, high pass frequency 150, then boost the air type shit. Type shit. I like that. Yeah, it's exactly what every rap vocal was 5 years ago. Yeah, man, just completely make my vocal sound like absolute shit and make it way, way, way worse than it should be. And you know what always pissed me off about that is that every time I did that for a rapper, I always felt like they made themselves sound less powerful because you're like knocking out all the body of the vocal. A lot of the times they were sweeping all that out. Even higher than 150, man. Like they'd go up to 250, or they'd go 150, you'd sweep it up, and then they'd take out all the 400, 300, 200, and it was like, bro, there's no body, there's no upfront, there's no power to your vocals. So now you're a rapper that sounds like, like, you just don't sound cool. You sound like a fucking little bitch, And like, why was that a thing? Like, that's the style? Like, let's make rappers sound like little bitches? Like, no. I want rap vocals that are in your face, that are fucking powerful, You get that in the mids and then in the low mids. It's obvious. You get it in the low end. You get the punch, you get all that body and energy in there. I think a lot of it was because a lot of artists, not just rappers, but artists were recording with really cheap equipment, and then the low end they didn't like it because it didn't sound good, because they weren't capturing it well. They had a cheap mic going into a cheap interface. The conversion was shit. And so it was like, if you just swept all that out and made it crispy, right, then you kind of got rid of all those like problems with the recording and the performance, right? So it kind of hid that. I felt like that's what a lot of that was. Like they could hear pitch problems in the low end, but they couldn't hear it when it was like, you swept the fucking note out, Okay. Some difference between yeah, for sure. What else you got? Going back to the beginning, I'm a musician, becoming an audio engineer, working the live sound. Nice. Good to have you here, man. Okay, now I want to listen to the actual bounce, right? Like, obviously. And because I've already done this mix and I'm just doing revisions, I don't really need to listen too closely, but I do want to compare to V2, right, on the parts that he was talking about and make sure I'm not completely out of control with it.
Wipe away the tears, go kiss it, and I'm in the home distance, and it's wearing out my soul. When I go kiss it, and I'm wishing you were home. Yo, the ground beneath the shift, and then I ship on overload. Don't gotta sell me, cause I'm sold. I'm beneath the shift, and then I ship on overload. Beneath the shift, and then I ship on overload. And then I ship on overload.
All right, so I'm listening to that first note, that overload note, right? It's like liking this simple, this one here. For this deep pitch vocal, can we turn it up, volume slightly, make it like the second one? And it sounds much better. I thought that was a good note, actually. He's being pretty nitpicky, but, it's a good note. And then second one is liking the simple delay. Can we turn it down a little bit? That's at 102. So we're going to go to 102 on the rev here.
Sudden, where'd you go? Somewhere. All of a sudden, where'd you go? Somewhere alone. All of a sudden, where'd you go? Somewhere. All of a sudden, where'd you go? Somewhere alone. All of a sudden, where'd you go?
Right, so we brought that down. I think that sounds good, you know. That was a pretty simple one. And then we're going to 107. Can you turn up the vocal ooze a little? I'm looking to fill out the high end on the hook a little more to create an uplifting feel. Okay, and then he's also talking about the strings here at 107. So we're just going to go to 107 and listen. And I'm paying attention to how it makes me feel as well. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just going, oh yeah, I took care of that rev, check box, you know? I want to like listen and make sure it feels right.
Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there. Somewhere, I know you're out there. All of a sudden, where'd you go? Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there. I know you're go. Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere, there, I know you're out there. Somewhere, I know you're out there. I know you're out there. Somewhere, somewhere, I know you're out there. I know somewhere, I know you're out there. I know you're out there.
Perfect. I think that's like a perfect revision right there, you know? Just brightening that up and making those strings sing a little bit more, the harmonics on the top, it feeling just a little bit more uplifting. I think we nailed it. So now I'm going to just go here and I'm going to upload the revision here. So in here, you could just go add version, and then I'll go to my folder and grab it. And then I will boom, boom, boom. And I'm just showing you all this because, you know, maybe you're working with clients. Maybe you're, you know, looking for better ways to work with clients, be more professional. Maybe you want to get bigger gigs. Maybe you want to bring clients back. You know, just remember, like all of this is about taking care of people and helping them realize their vision by adding your vision into it because you're a professional as well, right? And the better you get at this, the better you get with your skill set, the more people will be more hands-off about revisions and notes and all that. But notes and revisions are part of the process. Like I really want to say that. And I want to say that every time you get a note or a revision from a client, it typically makes the project better. It's not going to make it worse. Sometimes you might feel that way, but a lot of the times that's because your ego is talking. Like truly. I've worked on so many projects where I'm like, this is stupid. Why am I doing, you know, this is fucking dumb. You know what I mean? And then I do it. And then later when I go through all the revisions and I go back to V1 that I sent, and then I go to like what they actually shipped and put out in the world, I'm like, well, thank God we went through those revisions, man, because this sounds way better than V1. Like, what was I thinking? This is so like, you know, it's not there. You know what I mean? So sometimes you hit it on V1 and it's like, dude, this is so good. And the client is like, this is perfect. It gels. It feels right. We're all good. And then sometimes you're like, no, we need to do revisions and go through it and listen to your client. And that's how you get more clients, man. Like straight up. So I'm going to go to, I'm literally just now going to send it to him. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to text it to him and I'm going to go, hey man, here's your shit. Boom. Somewhere. V3 masters up. All right. And this is how I work with him. Not everybody is going to, not everyone's going to work the same way. Sometimes they want it sent to their email and they want to be very formal with you, whatever. And that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But sometimes it's just a text message and they can go to the link and they're cool. But yeah, I really like this Samply app. It's really great for this stuff. I have all my clients here. The Maudlin Strangers one that I just finished, West Side. This was the first version. And let's give it a listen. Sorry, you guys aren't going to hear that at full volume from this because of the routing for my audio and stuff. But I can open up that session if you guys want to hear a little bit more about that and the automation and the finalized process of that. Talk about some depth and all that. But yeah, this was Tommy G. This was Somewhere. And I'll be working on his third one and fourth one and fifth one and sixth one and seventh one and eighth one. But like when you're first working with a client on an album, a lot of the times I like to get the first few done and go through the revision rounds with them first, okay? So a big workflow process and concept behind that for me is that you want to nail the sonic quality of the records, right? Because it's going to be an album. So if you decide you're going to go do the mix on 15 tracks for an album and the master, you know, and then you send it to them and you're like, what do you think? You're going to make so much more work for yourself as an engineer, because now the artist is going to, the client is going to be like, yo, this, you know, all of these need this kind of crazy work and this is not what I was envisioning. Now you got to go through like every single song and make all these crazy revisions. And you don't know where the sonic quality was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So you're like not locked in with it. But if you ship the first few and you find the singles and stuff and you work on those, you know, intro, singles, you know, get the first three really dialed in. Now you got like the channel strips, you got the sessions, you know, and you've gone through the revisions and you've dialed things in and you know exactly what the artist is looking for. And through those songs, now you can apply those to the next song and the next song and the next song and the album itself. So that's a very, very important part of working on an album. You do not want to be like, yeah, I'm going to ship all of them all at once. I mean, some people do that. Fucking, I don't know how they do it, but I would never do that. I would always like, you know, ship the first few songs and get a great idea of where they want things. And then you can go deep, you know, deep dive into the next songs and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, what do you guys think? Got any questions or anything? Any questions? Oh, okay. So we were going to go onto this tiny button on Gold Clip. Okay. So Gold Clip on the tiny button is what he's asking. He or she, I'm not really sure. But on this Gold Clip, you have this little guy right here. Okay. So I'm just going to, I guess I can play it and let you hear what it's doing, but this is going to be, here, let me just go to, I'll make this really easy for everybody. So if I hover over this, this is a low pass filter applied to the clipper, recommended for a cleaner clipping effect. Now, in my experience, every time I turn this on, I don't get a cleaner clipping effect. I usually get more distortion. And maybe that's just because how I'm setting it typically is full range, right? Like I know what I want to feed Gold Clip. This is a low pass filter. So you're literally saying, don't feed the clipping circuitry anything below 150 Hertz, right? Something like that. I'm not sure where the low pass is at, but every time I turn this on, I get more distortion because I don't know if it's because I just dial my mids in and I dial my high end in exactly how I want it to be before I even have Gold Clip on. But if I do that, then I almost feel like I get too much distortion and too much clipping in the mid range and on the vocals and everything else. So it's really up to you, but you could use this when you have something that's like really low end heavy, right? So if I have something with like a huge 808 in it, like where it's just going, then you could try this and it will help the 808 stay where it's at and bring your vocals up to where the 808 is. Hopefully that makes sense. Because I think what happens with my mixes a lot of times, if I turn this on, I already have the balance really nice where I want it. And if I turn that on, then all of a sudden the mids and the high end comes up and the low end stays where it's at and it's blooming and it's great, whatever, right? But like then the mids start to get clipped more. they get more distorted in the mid range. So it's really, dude, it's such a program dependent thing that you would want to do this with. Just like if you're using a high pass filter on a compressor, right? It's the same exact idea. So for example, if I went to like an SSLG, right? And I don't know if this is the bus compressor. No, it's not, but it kind of is. Trim, yeah, kind of. It's like the full damn thing. SSL. Okay, so if we go to SSL G comp, right? So SSL compressor, this will probably be it. Okay, cool. So here is the Waves version, right? And you have on this a sidechain filter, okay? So it goes all the way up to 500 hertz. So you're basically saying anything 500 hertz and below, don't feed to the compressor circuitry, okay? Don't feed that to the compressor circuitry. It's not saying high pass all this stuff. It's not an EQ for the whole thing. The whole thing is getting compressed no matter what. Everything, all the frequencies are getting compressed. This is just saying send less of, or don't send 500 and below to the compressor circuitry as much, right? So now the compressor circuitry will not react as much on those parts, which means they kind of don't get compressed as hard. And when you bring up the makeup gain, like if you compress 4 dB, right, with this up, and then you bring up the makeup gain, then you're going to have less low end feeling, right? It's going to sound less low end heavy. It's going to sound more mid range forward and more high end heavy, right? Because you're not going to have the compressor reacting to the low end as much. And this is a good or bad thing. It's really, really dependent on your source and what you're looking for. It's all up to what your creative process is and what you need more or less of. And that's why these tools exist. They just want to give you options, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why that's on the Gold Clip. It's just giving you an option to say, hey, look, we don't want to feed the clipper circuitry the low end. We want to low pass it. Cool. Like, so you're not going to clip the low end as much. But that means that it's going to hear more as you turn up this gold, and as you clip this more, like if you pushed into it, it's going to get and hit the mid-range and the high end more. So you might get more distortion. And that's why I don't like that this says recommended for a cleaner clipping effect. I don't like that because that's just not true always. You know, nothing's like, that's the truth and that's how it is. We're in art, you know? So these artistic creative moves, you can say that's going to be a cleaner effect, or you could say, no, that's going to be a way more distorted effect, you know, because we're going to distort the mid-range more when we start clipping harder. All right. So it's really up to you and what you're trying to do. But hopefully that makes sense. All right. What do you guys think? Anything else? I just wanted this live stream to be really focused on just this part of the client process, the revision stuff, and this is not a crazy revision process on this track, you know, this is a pretty simple revision. Like the 3 revisions I did, very basic, right? But they're not always just turn things up, turn things down. And you really do want to make sure your clients are really happy. And you also want to make sure that you're putting your stank on it and you're showing them what it could be, right? Because if I didn't mix and master this, then this song might have gone out with a little bit more limiting on it, and it would have sounded like a 2-dimensional flat kind of piece of shit, you know? And I'm not going to say the song's a piece of shit. I'm going to say like the mix is pretty shitty. Like this demo mix is pretty shitty. Sounds very mono, very flat, very in front of you. And I really don't think it competes. So, that's why you spend the extra money, you invest in your music, and if you care about it. If you don't care about it, you don't need to do that. If you're just a hobbyist and you're just trying to have fun with it, just have fun with it, be a hobbyist. You know what I'm saying? Spend your money on whatever you want to spend your money on. But if you're trying to like make a living and like really go somewhere with music, get discovered, not just by fans, but like by people that can change your life, that can license your music, that can, put your music into TV, commercials, films, that could, get you a publishing deal, et cetera, then you want to make sure every shot that you're taking is going to be like, it's good, you know? And you always know the songs that you want to, like, you're like, this song is really good. I think it has potential. Those are the songs you should be investing in a mix and master with. Like, don't mix it yourself. Trust me. There are songs that I've mixed myself that are my songs that I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have had someone else mix this. Like, straight up. Yeah, this is a really good point, right? Each of us has different hearing as well. That's a very good point. We all hear things differently. I try to find clients that hear things the same way that I do, but you have to experiment with those clients. So another reason why I'll do like the first, 2 to 3 songs before I ship the whole album worth of mix and masters, because we're dialing in the sonic qualities and how that person hears things. So they might hear things a little bit different than me. And then I have to figure out like how they hear things and what they're hearing and their perception. And then I can go into that and I can go, I know what they like now. And it doesn't take long when you're a professional. Like, I've been doing this a long time, you guys. Like, it's been decades. And I'm going to be going on 3 decades of really like working on music like this. And it just takes time. It's ear training, and like listening and paying attention and learning. Like, I'm learning every day. Like, don't get me twisted. I'm not on here just always trying to teach stuff to people, Like, a lot of the times I'm like, yo, I don't know what I'm doing with this. I'm going to go learn something from someone, So, yeah, I'm constantly learning, constantly studying this stuff. Sounds like it would feel better suited as a creative or utility effect to process one channel of things. Yeah, you could totally use that, but yeah, you might be overthinking a little bit. It's just a matter of what you want clipped, what you want to feed into the clipper. If you want, more of a cleaner low end and you dial it in right. Yeah. Like, that's why, like, when you hover over that and it says for a cleaner clipping effect, it's true in a sense that if you have a lot of low end in your mix and you put that on and it high passes it, then yeah, you're going to get a much cleaner effect. But the minute you start pushing into it, then you're going to clip the mid range and stuff. And to me, when you clip the mid range and the high end more, it's more audible. It's not as audible on the low end. Like, it's clipping that's just the way it sounds to me. So like, when you clip the low end, like, it's not perceived as much. But when you're on a master bus, you have, it's a complex waveform. So there's a lot going on. What do you got here? Can I send you a link to a song which is reference for my next mix? I wonder if you have any specific tips, style. I'd love to do that, but honestly, I just don't have the time to do that. Like, go through everybody's stuff online. Maybe I'll do a stream where I just do that, like where I can, I can have everyone can submit a track and then I can pick one and really work on it on live. That would be fun. It'd have to be like a Logic or a Pro Tools session though, because those are the 2 I work in. Hey, that's what's up, man. Awesome. It's good to see you. And thanks for stopping by. And you guys, show love on the video if you got anything from it. And if you want to book a mix and master, like hit me up, I'll leave a link in the description here. And I got to get out of here, but good chatting with you guys. And I hope that, playing best. Yep, exactly. That's how it feels too. It feels like you're playing like a video game. Sometimes. I don't know. I never got into video games. Sega Genesis. That's it, really. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys next time, though. Show love, share the show, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel because I got a new video dropping tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. You guys stay tuned. I need your support. I try my best to give to you as much as I possibly can. So just asking for just a little tiny little bit back. You know what I'm saying? Just give me a little bit back. Like, all you got to do is click on some stuff. You're like, click on it, watch a video, you know what I'm saying? Say, hey, thanks for the video on the comments, I'm not asking for anything else. All right. Peace, guys.